Welcome to our program on the suffering church where God weeps. I cannot find any part in the world that is having an emergency on the scale of Uganda that is getting so little international attention, stated the Secretary of Foreign Affairs of the United Nations. Therefore, to learn more on the country of Uganda, we are in Rome to speak to Father Mario Cisternino, Comboni Missionary of Uganda. Thank you for being with us, Father Mario.
Thank you for calling, Madam.
What is the emergency of Uganda? Can you tell us?
Well, Uganda is a beautiful country, and most of it is flourishing, is happy, but the northern part, the one bordering southern Sudan, is the one which is suffering too much. It's now 20 years.
You mean the country is beautiful, the trees are beautiful, but the people are suffering, is that what you mean?
The people from the north, but the rest of the population are not suffering.
Who is in charge of Uganda?
President Museveni, Yoweri Museveni, who took power by force through the gun from the Acholis. There were two Acholi generals governing the country for not much, just a few months, not even 1 year, in 1985. So he conquered Uganda through the gun, conquered Kampala, the capital, and the Okellos and all their troops had to flee. Being Acholi, they fled north. And as there are Acholis also in the Sudanese part, and they fled into the southern Sudan. And since then, they have been coming in and out, them and their successors, of Uganda, and robbing the people of Acholi land, the Ugandan side, in order to keep on surviving. They had a huge armory, which had just been enforced for the last war against Museveni. And with all that armory, they fled. And so since then, there has been civil war in the northern side. The civil war has become worse and worse because Museveni always promised to do away with this problem, but he never did, because unhappily, he likes destabilization a little bit, so that his army is kept at bay.
But is it because the northern part of Uganda is not part of his tribe, maybe?
Not at all. They are Nilotics. His tribe and the others in the south and the central of the country, the majority, they are Bantu. They were kingdoms. The part he comes from was a kingdom, and is part of the ex-elite of that kingdom. They are the Bahima, who are related to Batusi of Rwanda and Burundi. So he has got that kind of elitist background, socially speaking and psychologically speaking, which has the good side, being he is able to govern. Shrewd, quick, stressful, but also very vengeful, very violent against the enemies. He needs the enemy in order to be himself.
But you know the tribe where he was born, you worked there yourself.
I was there 20 years in Ankole and Kigezi, in the southern part, bordering Rwanda. So I lived all through the war, even when Museveni had not got into power, and he was still a guerrilla man coming from Tanzania. I knew him very well because he was coming where I was, coming in and out, you know, and I knew the places, the people, so I was following the things because I was in the midst of it all. I wrote also the book of his Proverbs, which the bishop twice took to him, hoping that at least if he could go to his traditional wits in case, as it is the case, he couldn't go to the gospel. He can also quote the gospel, but the bishop said, traditional wisdom might be better. So he took my book of Proverbs of his people to him twice. And he quotes them very well. He's very, very, very pleasant listening to, very pleasant, very captivating. And in economy, he's very good, very good.
You also wrote a book about the children, about the education of the children. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, it's called I segreti della serenità, the secrets of a peaceful mind. And 1/3 of the book is about his population, how the children of his population are brought up. And there are 2 sections of these children, the dominating one and the dominating one and the dominated one. He's of the dominating side. And since they are born, these children are socializing with the dominated ones in such a way that they speak, the others listen. They say which game they have to play, and the others play with them.
And that starts already when they're 2, 3, 4 years old?
4 years old, since they are born. Listen, when they are born, after just 2 or 3 months, they are taken away from the mother's milk. Traditionally, most often it's not done, but the myth, the strength of the tradition is that. And they are taken to the kraal to be milked by the cows, so that their affection will be more with the wealth, the possession, than with the family life. This is strong in the mind and remains, so that they are born for governing. And this is enticing to anybody in the world, any other leaders or any other power, needing sub-powers to get what they want.
Now, you started off in southern part of Uganda as a missionary. Why were you now sent to the northern part?
In the early 80s, when Amin was ousted, 1979, 1980, because of the other civil war, And then the Tito Okellos came, the ones from Acholi. During the early part of these 80s, famine was the consequence of that civil war, especially in one part which is called Karamoja. So I was sent there by the Comboni Missionaries to be the religious side, the church side of the fighting of the famine. And we, together, of course, with the United Nations World Food Programme, with the ILO, International Labour Organization, of whom I was a consultant, and with the European Common Market, and with other ONGs, secondary but efficient. In 1 month we stopped the famine. They were dying by tens of thousands.
But how did you do that? How could you stop it?
Because in these interventions, we don't need the army, but you need to have a kind of army economics, which means linear programming. They call it like that in economics, You look for maximum efficiency in the quickest possible time through all possible means, linear programming. So we used linear programming, and in 1 month we got the food from Europe, from wherever, even from Africa, on the coast, and we shifted it in the desert, and the local chiefs, together with the local church, African church, were able to give food to everybody, and the famine stopped. It was beautiful, it was possible. It is still possible nowadays. Even if the means of war are used by the heart of peace and by peaceful people, not by war people. The techniques, let us say, of intervention are used for peace, then peace can surely be enhanced in an efficient way even today. The problem is, who wants peace? Museveni needs peace, but part destabilization in order to achieve what he, together with his great friends in the world, big friends in the world, want. Inside the country, we have Museveni, who is holding power through the means of the intelligent gun, meaning also the upper section of the army being very well educated people. I know because they are my children, university graduates, but who are now in the army since he took power, and who are governing through shrewd efficiency, but also through hatred. They are still building up their social psychology through hatred for the northern side of the country. And as they don't want it to subside completely, so they are not hitting at the armed side of the conflict, the opposite side, but at the poor population. If we, the Comboni missionaries, went away from that area, there would be another genocide.
But does President Museveni want you to go, to leave the country? Would he like you to leave the country?
Well, you know, he's very prudent with us. Huh? He's behaving with us like a young man, very strong and most self-conscious, who is not wanting that his father still govern the country, let's say. We are not governing the country, but we are helping the heart of the country to remain a heart, because most of the country is Christian. 95% of the country is Christian. Surely 90, I would say. So that's what he wants. He would like us not to be around, but he can't do without us. Or at least we are part and parcel of his history, after all. I think that's his mind, more or less.
Let us go back to the northern part of Uganda, where we sometimes see on television these films about the commuting children. Can you tell us something about that?
You see, these rebels, the ones who were governing Uganda before, they need new manpower. So they go into the Ugandan side of their tribe, the Acholi tribe, even part of Lango, who are further south. And they abduct the children of their own people because they don't have adults anymore. And who wants to fight among the adults? Museveni himself, in order to take power, he used child soldiers. By the thousands, they were in my schools and in the other schools. They took them from my school. I was there. Young people, young girls, young boys, from 12 to 15. But then he went even in for younger ones, 8, 10 years old. He sent them forward. And that's the way he conquered Kampala. So when we saw children there, we couldn't fight with children.
So then you cannot do anything as a missionary at such a point?
No, what happened in Kampala, it is Museveni who has invented this devilish tactics. So they are doing the same thing in the north now. So at least 20,000, but as many as 50, 60,000 children. The youth of the north has disappeared. So those who have already been abducted and returned, together with those who don't want to be abducted, by night they go to the mission places. Not that there are white missionaries, we are only very, very few, the Combonis. I am the youngest among them. No, there are one or two younger ones, but they are local priests, local sisters, very many local catechists, all of them. It's a Christian country, but these youngsters, they flock to the parishes and to the town during the night so as not to be abducted. They come, they sleep there, whether it rains or doesn't rain, whether it's good or bad weather anyway, even cold or whatever, even if there are soldiers around or not soldiers around, they just want to sleep in peace. And then they go in the morning, they go out in the fields again with their parents. Now, the other tragedy is, and this is even worse, if there is any worse thing as that the adult population, which is of about 1,200,000 to 1.5 million, 1 million people, more than 2/3, are in concentration camps put up by Museveni. And it's now going on and on and on for years. You imagine AIDS, how it is spreading in such a place? They can't work freely in their own fields because he says he's going to free them from the rebels. He can't do that. He knows very well, he's a good fighter. He knows very well how to get hold of the rebels. He doesn't want to, and he makes the normal people suffer like that. So that's the tragedy of the North. And nobody says it as frankly as I do because of political reasons. Museveni is in power, everybody is afraid. The riches of the countries are getting out of the countries because of Museveni. Nobody's interested in this tragedy.
Does it have any consequences for you when you talk so openly to us about the situation in northern Uganda?
Museveni is a shrewd person. He's able to govern his own way, the tribal way, which has got the negative sides I've been speaking about. But he's shrewd, he's clever. So he knows that I am not armed. And he does accept this kind of criticism. I've been voicing it in Uganda, outside Uganda. It helps him. But then he does what he wants, because he knows I won't shoot him down.
But it helps him in which way then?
I hope it helps him know his own conscience better. If it can be of any help. If he wants to shoot me down, well, I've been living long enough. No problem.
Let's turn then also to the big problem of AIDS. What have you seen in your contacts with the Africans?
I followed AIDS since the very beginning. We became aware of the problem in 1986-87. And I immediately started talking about it and writing about it. And in Italy, for instance, we had a quick response. And I had 4 government officials, ministers, who came there. I accompanied them around, and we could see places, people. We also went for Museveni's child soldier problem. And we went into the barracks and we looked at the children. And we asked him what he was doing for these children, how to recuperate them for the civil life. And then we talked about AIDS. So the world got to know about it regarding Africa through people like me and many, many, many others better than me, obviously. And in the case of Uganda, Museveni reacted very, very strongly. His wife was also very, very nice about it. His wife is evangelist, she is Protestant, but straightforward, very sincere, very clever lady as well. And then the UNICEF came in very, very strongly and very efficiently because of the monitoring and so on.
And you're now talking about the ABC program in Uganda. Can you explain that shortly, what it means, ABC?
Well, it just means getting people together and look at the problems from every angle, because it is social, it is medical, it is economic, and it is political. Think of the famous drugs, antiretroviral, so on. But it is also social because of polygamy still hanging about a lot, because of the disorder, moral disorder in the towns, in Kampala especially, among the elite more so. So it touches the elite, it touches Museveni's entourage. His best aides die when they are still 40, 35. I've seen them die. I baptized them. Some of them among the others. So it is a tragedy. A country can do nothing to better itself in such a situation. They can't even go to school, because they go to school and they die. So the social heart of the country flops down, You see funerals everywhere, every day. You don't have tears to wipe anymore. So the tragedy is huge. But as in the case of Uganda, we got together the United Nations organization, UNAIDS now called, then also so many, all the goodwill organizations in the world, because of the government wanting to face the situation flatly, without any kind of reserve. So it has happened that Uganda is the only country in Africa where the AIDS problem has gone down from 25 to 15. In this, we, the Roman Catholic Church, have worked together with the non-Roman, with the Protestants, let us say, and with the Muslim community, which is a minority, 5, 6, 7%. And the non-religious agencies have accepted, like the government has done, have accepted our holistic approach together. I think this is what is helping the problem to be deflated a little bit.
Then I have one more question for you, is what is your missionary spirituality that you can keep on going doing this work in Uganda?
My founder, Comboni's spirituality is based on the cross, on one side. We have to suffer. It's the redeeming suffering of Christ, the cross, which has also another side, the heart of Christ. He suffered because he loved, not because he wanted suffering for the sake of it. But then there is the practical spirituality, the social spirituality, which is save Africa with Africa. In his times, it meant, schools, it meant freeing people from bondage, from slavery, and putting them in a situation by which they would not fall into slavery anymore. And nowadays it means fostering the activities of the African church, bishops, priests, nuns, the leaders, the natural leaders of the country, to foster into them the Christian spirituality and not the new pagan spirituality, which is Museveni's in this war-like attitude he has, and so on. So we presently, since long time now, since one generation, we, the non-local missionaries, are very, very few, very old, just look at me. And so we remain like the soul, you know, the animating old fathers, grandfathers, they call us, you know, grandfather. Everybody calls us grandfather. And I think once we die there, I hope the church will be a little bit more mature. We pray.
What has been your greatest suffering then, if you say our missionaries are missionaries of suffering?
It is seeing that the people of the North, presently, it's now 20 years, are suffering through no cause of their own, because it's not the Acholi or the Langi who were governing the country, but only an elite with guns. So to see innocent people being treated like animals, being let down, even psychologically speaking, social psychology. And the children being completely destroyed, the new generation, completely destroyed. This is something we can't accept. And as we are unable and unwilling to use the same means as Museveni's, what remains is to suffer the cross and the heart.
Thank you so much, Father Mario, for bringing us closer to love Uganda. And thank you for watching our program Where God Weeps. And as Father Werenfried van Straten, founder of Aid to the Church in Need, once stated, as the suffering church is being tested in faith, so too we are being tested in love. Thank you for watching our program, and if you want to learn more on how you can help the suffering church in Uganda, please log on to our website posted at the end of our program. We hope to see you again next week. Take care.